Welcome back to the desk here. We've got fantastic SPL stuff coming for you. A fantastic conclusion to the European SPL 2015 regular season coming up for you. Myrmidons versus Dignitas, and this one is for all the chips.
Now, normally, I would never have a favorite for a single game of SPL because I'm not that sort of person. But golly, do I want Myrmidons to win game one.
Good golly. Now, so Myrmidons right here. Tell me why you want Myrmidons to win game one.
Myrmidons need to win both these games to go to LAN.
Dignitas just need a single.
Dignitas need one game. So if Dignitas win game one, it's all said and done. Everything's sorted in Europe. We know where people stand. Nothing else is going to change. However, if Myrmidons win game one, that means that Dignitas and Myrmidons are basically playing a best of one.
Yep.
For, like you said, all the chips. One of the teams will go to LAN. The other one, well, they'll stay home.
Well, so what excites me about this one is that Myrmidons have really, for a while though, the last couple of weeks of the season, we just didn't see any passion or really anything come out of this team, which was quite the opposite for Dignitas. Now, coming into this last one, you're going to tell me, all right, it's for everything. These guys on Myrmidons, I think they're going to turn up today.
Here's the thing. The teams that Myrmidons have had to play before have been rough of opposition. So, yeah, maybe they're not been as passionate because they didn't expect to win against those teams. However, just as they've defeated
no excuse.
Dignitas. They defeated Dignitas at the start of the season, and this is why they need to win both, because the head-to-head record would be a 4-0 to Myrmidons then. So, Myrmidons should come into this knowing that they can defeat Dignitas. They've proven it because they did it at the start of the season.
Right.
However, Dignitas this time round, they're a different team than the one that started the SPL.
Exactly, and that's what I always come down to when we start to analyze this team and we bring in so frequently their past games, because this fall split, we got to see teams play each other twice. The teams that got to play Dignitas early in the season were not an accurate representation of what this team can do. I mean, I flat out did not like this team in the early weeks of the fall split. I had them losing virtually every single game. If you go back and you watch the tapes of Esports Weekly Live, almost every single Dignitas matchup, I have them losing 0-2. Something changed.
Well,
something clicked for this team, and the latter half of the season, very different.
First of all, the LAN expanded to 6, which meant that they had a prize to go for.
Oh, yeah.
They also brought on Coach Deku's scrub. Now, normally, I wouldn't mention coaches, but the whole team have spoken about his addition as allowed him to help them out in picks and bans and thinking about things a little bit more outside the box than what those guys would do themselves. ShadowNightmare had a few words with him, and he's the one that said, you know, Deku made an impact, and as well as the line expanding, and now we started to find our form.
You just see so much drive. That's what it is for me with the guys on Team Dignitas. They have a fair amount of skill, right? They're an SPL team. They're by definition, and also I think they represent a middle of the pack squad very well. They're not going to dominate the league anytime soon, but I wouldn't expect them on, spot number 8 anytime soon. They're a straight middle of the pack team, but they get this intangible momentum swing sometimes that just come out of seemingly nowhere, that Dignitas in the middle of games can just turn things around by sheer force.
With the bans coming through now, we're probably going to see Zeus, some Wukong, or Giannis get through, and the other two, actually I don't know what the last ban was, whether there was a ban, but Zeus does get through for Team Dignitas there, which I'm guessing that must be a Giannis ban, I want to say, potentially, unless it was a skip ban.
We'll take a look as we get into it.
Yeah,
it is a Giannis ban, so Zeus is the first pick for Team Dignitas, so no real big swing there. Pretty unremarkable bans.
You expect Zeus to get picked up immediately if you can, but that does leave some Wukong on the table for the Myrmidons to look at taking. And next options down the list when you look at that, well, where will they really look to, the Myrmidons? They could look for the Rama for going over to Jermain, who's had a very good season on that one. They could look for a priority aggressive support for Dardez, or maybe even for LeMoGoW in the solo.
Agni, however, going to be the choice here, so Tynz will get his choice of characters to the mid lane.
Agni's not been played that much this season. He's started to see less and less. His win ratio not so good in the SPL, as you can see, 28%.
That is Agni is the perfect example of when stats don't matter.
You say that? You say that?
Yes, I do.
Explain.
I say that confidently. Agni has lost a ton of games, sure, but at the end of the day, Agni is never a bad pick. He's a safe mage, he's got a range stun, he goes burst, control. There is never a situation where you don't want an Agni on your team. Or where you won't just go for it.
I mean, he's safe, but
this early in the draft, maybe a little bit interesting.
I think one of the reasons you see him drop down is because he's safe, but he's not as safe as the likes of a Giannis or a Noir, who both have better
I think
escape
he's safe for
abilities.
the Noir.
Ooh, interesting.
A stun and a dash? I'll give you Giannis. Homie can walk through walls.
Nuwa's got a stun.
A setup stun.
Nuwa's also got an invisibility as well. And on top of that, she's also got the fire shots.
Fire shards.
So she's got three.
Fire shards doesn't do it for me, Hindu.
Okay.
You love to hang on to that safety out of fire shards. Just doesn't do it for me. It's safe for a moment, and then you come down very predictably.
You say a moment, but that's quite a long time in the air.
Sure. Depends on how the team reacts. We see the rest of the teams round out Sun Wukong, Agni, and Bellona by way of Myrmidons, Zeus, Hun Batz, and Athena by way of Dig.
Bellona on the downtrend, I want to say, as the season's gone on. We've not seen as much of her being picked up and played. If we do, it's generally in the solo lane. But with a Sun Wukong picked up there, I really want to say this is looking like a jungle Bellona, unless we see Dardez take it to the support role potentially. Don't see that much of Bellona anymore.
Sun Wukong also falls down as well. We'll take a look at Athena, and the bans are out. Cat and Freya.
And the Bastet pick, I really like the ban away from Team Dignitas there. Just in case they don't expect Myrmidons to run Bellona and Sun Wukong, either of those in the jungle. Bastet is a prime example of someone very good at dealing with Zeus. Jump in, deal damage, get out. Jump in, deal damage, get out. Over and over again to the Zeus, and there's not a lot he can do about that with his lack of mobility.
Yeah, virtually nothing Zeus can do with it. So Bastet really a character that can tear Zeus apart. Fourth pick out here is going to be the Ram. So as you said, Jermain has seen fantastic, tons of success on this character. So Myrmidon's going to go the way of Ram.
I'm looking for damage out of Dignitas here, but I'd like to see some more backline. They've got the front line with Hun Batz and Athena, but something to support the backline would be quite good here for Dignitas. Just to keep an eye on Zeus and whatever AD carry they look at picking up here would be a good pick for them. Doesn't necessarily have to be like appealing god, but it could be something with sustain potentially. Maybe a Ra, Aphrodite. Those two spring to mind.
And there's the Ra. So we'll have some support by way of healing on Dignitas. And the Hou Yi, again, pretty standard these days. Just so much damage. And the potential for the stuns, Ricochet, of course, cooldown come down. And his just ability in the late game is so powerful.
And I love the Ra pickup. It's one that you're going to sit there and be like, how's that really going to impact things? Well, if you can keep Zeus sustained up in the backside, they're going to be diving the Zeus. That's the game plan for Myrmidons. Take out the Zeus before he can get really going and snowballing. But if you've got a Ra on your team, well, he could be sustaining him at the same time as dealing damage and helping to protect and peel for the most part by way of damage, not just in terms of like peeling with hard CC.
Getting into our game in just a couple of seconds, we'll see Myrmidons versus Dignitas. And again, this one is for all the chips. Myrmidons have to win 2-0 if they want to keep going, if they want to keep their land dreams alive. And Dignitas, all they have to do is win a single game. We'll take a look here as how Dignitas' lineup winds up. Variety going to be playing the Ra in the solo lane, and ShadowNightmare playing a purple pot Zeus in the mid. Tynz will take his Agni to the mid lane as well, and he's going to start off with a Blink.
Tynz is going to be the important person on this team for me.
It's Blink on Ares.
It's Blink on Ares, but yeah, Tynz is the most important person on this team for me from Myrmidons. Reason being is he's the only real one with burst damage. Most of the others are all sustained poke damage, and against someone like Ra on the team who's going to be healing this team back up, it's going to be very, very difficult to take out a target on the very first engagement unless Tynz gets off all his burst damage on a singular target. So it's going to be up to him to really make an impact on this Agni to make this Myrmidons have a chance at winning this game.
Yeah, the Agni, it's an interesting pick right here, because as you said, we've sort of seen him fall out of favor to some of the more popular gods right now. ShadowNightmare on the purple pot Zeus. Now that's really the interesting part here, because Zeus, the wave clear isn't, it's not rod, it's not immediate wave clear. The purple pot is going to push that forward though in the point of the game where it's most important. Agni, before he hits level 5, it's the Magikarp Gyarados situation. Before Agni hits level 5, he's just not really that powerful. So if ShadowNightmare can leverage the lane before that, that might be a good look for Team Dignitas to take advantage of the situation.
Generally, you've got to use Path of Flames like we just saw Tynz use, but he's going to eat poke potentially as well from the Zeus because of that. There's a chain lightning bounce, you see that?
There it is,
and there's the early pressure that's coming on. With that power potion, it's extra pressure from ShadowNightmare. So 3 minions worth of gold have now been denied to a tower immediately. And potentially they've got to be careful because chain lightning will be up again in a second. Tynz needs to watch himself.
Tynz is in a lot of trouble. The dash is still available.
But he's had to dash away now. And this is just heavy pressure on the side of Myrmidons early. Zeus is actually making a big impact already.
Yeah, and this is just Team Dignitas understanding the Agni sort of Achilles heel before level 5. So
and they don't need to do the camp yet.
Going the purple pot and really pushing their advantage is going to just make this situation very favorable for them in the early game.
Good pressure from Myrmidons over on that side as well, but they don't manage to get anything else out of that one. The speed buff was picked up by the Myrmidons there, so they delayed taking the speed buff on that right-hand side for early lane pressure, which didn't work out too well for them, as mid lane and jungle are now going to be ahead, I feel, for Team Dignitas.
Left Harpy is going to go the way of Dig, as well as pushing a lot of minions underneath the tower. Myrmidon's going to have to deal with that one.
This lane's exactly as expected as well. Dignitas on the mostly defensive. They've got a Hou Yi whose early game pressure isn't necessarily the strongest against an Ares as well with those chains. Got to respect that one for the all-in potential that could come out from them. So Dignitas doing the right thing in the duo lane. Solo lane's pretty much safe. Meanwhile, mid lane is being dominated by Dignitas right now.
Variety here versus the Sun Wukong. Now, Ra traditionally has been a god that we talk about when it comes to fire and forget wave clear, and Sun Wukong with the Bluestone recently has really become the premier god with respect to that.
Yeah.
Is this a lane that we're going to see just be absolutely fire my ability, fire your ability, wait for the next wave?
For the most part, it'll be that until, I mean, Ra will control the early game for the most part, be the safest of the two. The only difference being is that as the game continues and goes on, that we may see some aggression come out of LeMoGoW over here in the solo lane. He could potentially kill the Ra if he makes a small misplay. But if Variety just plays this the way of drop the damage and leave, he should be fine.
We'll take a look at it. Taking a look back at the duo lane, Myrmidons, again, this is really where the team started to make waves. As Myrmidons came into the league, all the talk was about LeMoGoW, but once we actually saw the play of the team, all the talk quickly turned to Dardez and Jermain. A lot of these plays coming out of these two characters have been the driving force between Myrmidons' wins and really were a lot of the big talking points. The Bruised Brothers, as you called them.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what's happened with Myrmidons as the season's gone on is that LeMoGoW, he's been pretty much nullified in the Pro League. He's not managed to get off to the start that he had at the season, whereas Tynz came into the roster. He had a rough start when he came back on after Sio leaving, but then he performed very, very well in this mid lane. So Tynz is on the rise. FrezzOO as well in the jungle. Originally, this was Get Fisher, then it was Dark Dodo, but FrezzOO is starting to make an impact in the jungle too. This time, though, he's on the Bellona. Going to be a bit of a different situation, though, I feel. With the Bellona jungle this game, going to be difficult to try and... He can get to the back line, but can he get the damage out before he gets nuked down by the likes of Zeus, by the likes of Ra?
Well, to take a look at it, Agni now level 5, able to clear this wave pretty safely. And that's really what you were looking for. So Team Dignitas pushed their advantage early on, especially with that Purple Pot Zeus and making sure Myrmidons almost got the kill, but almost is a problem because now that Agni's level 5, the long range of the ultimates are really going to allow him to be a lot safer than he was previously.
And this game as well is all going to go in both teams' favor because they both want to go for team fights. They've both built team fight compositions for the most part. There's a little bit more aggression that can come out of Dignitas in terms of gank potential with a Hun Batz in the jungle, but they're both looking for big AoE team fights for the most part. Taunt into Zeus Chain Lightnings, followed by Fëanor Weevils after beads get burned. Any stragglers, there's snipes, and they can sustain back up with the Ra. Meanwhile, the other side, looking for the big ultimates of the no escapes, then bomb damage coming out from Tynz, the disruption from FrezzOO on the front side with the extra protections to help them out against the Zeus damage is what they're looking for as well. It's balanced on a knife edge, but I want to give it just in picks and bans to Dignitas because of the Ra more than anything else, of the extra sustain they'll have.
Oh, the Ra.
Yeah.
I thought you said the Ram.
No, the Ra. I feel the Ra.
About to vehemently disagree with you.
And if Variety looks at the, his build-wise about what he could be looking for here, probably Breastplate of Valor to deal with the double physicals he did against in the jungle and the solo lane, and then potentially transition into a Lotus Crown, look for big utility build really on him. Allow Zeus to do all the damage, go for the utility and keeping your teammates alive as long as possible.
I agree. That's what I want to see out of the solo lane for sure. That's largely what I like to see out of the solo lane. I think traditionally the solo lane works best, or not best, but the traditional solo lane that I enjoy seeing is utility solo lane. This way, the team fight engages 4v4 usually, right? And then once the rotations out of the solo lane comes, you really see the impact of how these players adapt to or adjust the game plan.
And there's so much pressure on Tynz. I said this at the start where I feel like he's the only real burst on the team. Yeah, you've got the Rama snipes, but that's about it. Other than that, it's going to be down to Agni for the burst damage to delete these targets before the heals come off. On top of that factor, Dignitas should be looking to annihilate Agni for two reasons. One, he's the threat of the burst damage. And two, he's the only real one that can contest a Gold Fury compared to the rest of their team, his teammates. Meanwhile, you've got the snipes and you've got the Zeus for the damage on the Gold Fury that can really secure it.
Jermain can also do what he can from the side. We've seen a couple of Gold Furies taken by way of Ram ultimates as well. So there is a little bit of a threat there, but Tynz going to be the main opposition when it comes to objective secure for Team Dignitas to keep in mind.
And so far, so good for both teams. They're just looking to farm up for the most. Because you came with experience, just see if there's a little lead. I feel it's in Dignitas' favour, which it is. It's not monstrous, but 1,000 gold just shows that they're splitting camps better. They're getting more of the mid-harpy action as well, which is very important for just establishing an early opportunity.
That cam's being cleared out very safely. So another game that we see First Blood come very late. Both games both games we saw earlier between Fnatic and Titan. We didn't see a First Blood until post 6 minutes. So as we approach our 7th minute of this one, pretty much the same look all around.
Need to see Dardez look for some action soon. He's on this Ares. They're trying to zone him off with as many creeps as possible, but it's a bit difficult to try and do that in this lane at the moment, especially with Ricochet being available to just bounce off the wall if need be. But he needs to be looking for the chains. They're already, though, Dignitas responding with a multitude of beads in response ready for the aggression that could come out from Ares. So
4 players
he's have a
beads.
difficult time.
Yeah, no surprise there. I mean, that's the Ares tax, right? You got to get your beads nice and early, especially once it's level 5.
Rotation from mid lane, sorry, from the solo lane as well here. From Dignitas, they're going to look for the right-hand Harpies. Just continue trying to extend extra golden experience advantage. You can see how FrostiaK plays that. You just walk forward to zone out any aggression that could come out from Myrmidons. Myrmidons pretty passive here, and they need to... I'm worried that they're going to sit back and look to not lose the game, not play to win, is the other issue.
Myrmidons?
Yeah.
Yeah. Playing too safe can be a problem, of course. So Myrmidons don't want to run into that.
I say that, but Dardez
looking at Agni, he does have beads available, so if that Fear No Evil comes out, you'll see a beads 180 dash. Should be relatively safe.
Will we see if the left-hand Harpies? Dardez is going to be here, but quick look, and already with that rotation, which was nice from Variety. See how LeMoGoW wasn't able to really punish him over in that solo lane at all for that big rotation he made. So good work from him to soak up extra experience and get a little bit of an advantage.
Athena here as well, going to clean up some experience. Dardez level 8, FrezzOO level 9, so a little bit of a lead there. It's actually funny, FrezzOO leading Rens.
Feels like one of those games where both teams scared to pull the trigger for the most part because they've both been... Oh,
Dardez pulls the trigger right here. No beads pull.
Okay. That's a little bit too dangerous coming out from iRens there, but it looks like we may see the first casualty fall down in favor of Myrmidons. Traded back by FrezzOO, who's going to escape as well. I don't think Rens made the right call then. He could have beads the initial pull, chose to beads the chains to escape, but the follow-up damage was just too much. Respect Ares' burst.
Yeah. A lot of damage coming out of Ares. That solidifies Myrmidons' first blood. Team Dignitas does answer very quickly onto a kill onto Dardez themselves. So altogether it's 1-1, but the 500 gold bounty goes the way of Myrmidons. And if you want to talk about small things, they still trail by about 400 gold.
They do, but that was a good pick up for Bellona as well. LeFaeles getting that kill will help him out in the jungle, get a little bit tankier, get his items finished a little bit quicker as well, which is a good thing for them. I was just about to say as well, before we saw that little engagement, both teams very hesitant to pull the trigger. They've both got plenty of triggers to pull, but now we might actually see some aggression after that first blood going down.
ShadowNightmare in trouble, as we mentioned so many times. He's got no mobility, and FrezzOO picks up a second kill. There's the ultimate out of the Fear No Evil monkey. FrostiaK going to get a little bit for it, but beads out of Bellona will make her walk away.
Right-hand side, though, Variety being aggressed on by LeMoGoW, and I said this was a potential opportunity over in the solo lane when some Wukong does get a few items online. With Stone of Gaia, Variety's going to watch his positioning for the most part, because we will see this time and time again, potentially.
Variety going to go head back to base. He'll be building into a Warlock Sash, so not quite the straight physical defense that we were expecting, but instead just Warlock Sash provides a lot of tankiness by way of health.
Yeah, it provides health at the same time as good damage ability too. He's going for a more damage option, so even more threat to the front line. It's one of these two options. The one you can go for is the healing option, which is the supportive sort of raw build. The other option is that you've already got 2 damage dealers in Zeus and Hou Yi, but if they're going to be the focal points of Myrmidons, then they'll forget about Ra. And if they forget about Ra, well, you need to remember that he can also build damage too, which is they're going to go for a 3 damage back line this time around.
Yeah, and Ra with the Warlock Sash winds up being... We'll see how the rest of his build really unfolds. That'll really tell us the story here. So Team Dignitas trailing by a kill because ShadowNightmare, I mean... And again, it's just the Zeus lack of mobility being put on display there by Myrmidons.
Lack of mobility, but also FrostiaK wasn't really in a position to really support him either. He could have potentially got in there a little bit quicker, Fear No Evil to support, but I still think he would have fallen down anyway. FrostiaK didn't find the kill in response. We may see a fight the left-hand Harpies, though.
And we will. Double taunt coming out of the Athena. And there's some long-range poke out of Agni. Not really able to land much. And zoning ultimate from ShadowNightmare. Fear No Evil also busted.
He should be dead. He's going to get some good snipes off,
Jermain's
though.
going to fall. Where does he land? Will he be safe?
He is safe.
Ares is going to pull one. FrezzOO in some trouble now. LeMoGoW has made the rotation from solo lane. LeFaeles picks up FrostiaK, so that'll be the third kill onto Myrmidons'
Nice
scoreboard. And ShadowNightmare answers directly onto FrezzOO himself. So the jungle for Myrmidons off to a great start, but finds his first death by way of the mid lane.
Yeah, FrezzOO was actually trying to juke out Reason the Gold Fury as well, but Chain Lightning bounces between the targets, so stacked up nicely for ShadowNightmare. Realized he could just bring him down with a detonate, so turns it into a 3 for 2 on the day so far in favor of Myrmidons, who so far so good. They're in a pretty good spot right now.
Pretty good. I mean, they're slightly in the lead. And I mean, that's a 300 gold lead. You're leading by, 300 divided by 5, right? That's not a big lead by any stretch of the imagination.
But they brought that golden experience down is the big key that Dignitas had a little bit earlier.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was about to go. So that's really the important part, is that the experience lead doesn't get too out of control, and they stay, and they're not playing catch up here, which has been the story for Myrmidons for a large part of the fall split.
And for the most part, if Myrmidons do fall behind, they really struggle to get themselves back into the game too. And that's when it gets to a decent lead of like 4,000 or 5,000, it's very hard to see Myrmidons pull it back in once more.
Myrmidons, we've got LeMoGoW here trying to show his face. Jing bang. Not successful for the steal.
Nice attempt though, but not enough damage just yet, especially with the build he was going for. He's working on Jotuns though, but his damage will go up a little bit more. Left hand side though, Myrmidons grouping around the Gold Fury here, probably just to clear the ward, but we may see Dignitas look for a pick.
Double taunt, just a single one. Dashed out of the way was
a lot of damage on Tynz. Lot of damage on Tynz, especially he used the beads as well, which is even bigger. He's already had to invest into beads 3 early on, which is quite painful for the Agni. He's not going to have as much damage. Working on Bancrofts too, which is a wise pick against any poke that comes against him in this lane.
Bancroft's one of my personal favorite items. A lot of the times we'll see different items picked up for the power, because mages, largely, if you're not alive, you're dead, right?
Pretty much.
If you're being attacked, you're probably just dead. Mages don't have a lot of ability, don't have a lot of health or raw power to protect themselves. So the Bancroft passive usually doesn't get used, but when it does, it's so potent and so powerful. So if Tynz is able to withstand poke like that and then stand on the outside.
They got the dash on Tynz. He's in a world of hurt with the beats being down too. Tynz is trying to get some damage off with the Aegis, but the dunk from FrezzOO is good. Big no escape coming in though. Only going to pull FrezzOO in.
Yeah, so right there, the Agni dash was caught. One of the important things that I was talking about in picks and bans was how safe Agni was because of that dash. But if you cut it off, it's just not there anymore.
And that was just them realizing the bleeds. Big taunt onto Jermain as well, who's in a world of hurt. Rolls back to his teammates, but the laser connects from Variety as well. Snipe is good. FrostiaK going to keep the pressure on Dardez. Meanwhile, Shadow going to keep LeMoGoW out of the action. This should be a free goal.
Jermain confirmed his own death right there. Crowd controlling himself. So Jermain tried to go up into the air for the Ram snipes, or probably more accurately for the defense, take himself out of the game for 6 seconds. Unfortunately for him, there's a wind-up to that ability, Hindu man. So Ram throws his bow up and then follows it. The bow made it, and Ram never did. In that brief second where Jermain was trying to follow up and get to the sky, that was just enough standstill for Variety to come through in the clutch and throw out the snipe.
And Variety's rotations this game have been on point as well. LeMoGoW's made them too, but LeMoGoW's not made an impact when he's made these rotations. Variety has multiple times. He's helped soak up experience in the mid lane and the mid harpies. Gold Fury secure as well as the pickup of that kill.
And with the kill comes the objective. Let's take a look at the graphs. We're 15 minutes in. Team Dignitas didn't get the first blood, but now they're leading by 2 kills. And the Gold Fury, just look at that graph. 3,000 gold in the way of the blue team, and as well, 5,000 experience.
And the big key, like I said, for Myrmidons this game is where is the damage going to come from to burst down the targets before Variety's heals come up through to support the team. Yeah. It's all on Tynz for the most part. The rest of the team, yeah, they've got sustained damage, but they don't have the burst potential like the other side do. I mean, you've got the likes of the Raw Snipes, the Zeus detonates as well. And with taunts coming out left, right, and center all day from FrezzOO, this is a good look for Team Dignitas.
There's a taunt onto Tynz, already half HP, has to dash out of the ultimate from Zeus. He'll be put down to about 25%, if not less. ShadowNightmare will back his ultimate on cooldown now.
Good aggression coming out once again, though, from Rens in this left-hand side. Putting the pressure on Jermain, but Jermain not phased. Just going to sustain back up off the minions. He does have Devour's Gauntlet, so didn't panic and roll away or put himself in an awkward spot.
Mid lane here, we've got the standard 2v2. This time around, though, it's support and jungler meeting up. Both mid laners have recently headed back to base. So ShadowNightmare just about to come into lane, whereas his opposition Tynz hitting up the back camp, and then will eventually make his way to lane as well. So we'll see the meeting of the core of these teams, mid, support, and jungle, in just a moment.
And so far so good, honestly, from Team Dignitas. They've not got anything to worry about right now. Myrmidons, yeah, they've picked up a couple of kills, but the threats have been pretty much nullified every single time from Dignitas. They're the ones that are forcing the engagements now with FrezzOO, and FrezzOO getting good follow-up from, mainly from ShadowNightmare on the Zeus, which is in the perfect position every time. And we mentioned about how Zeus is one of these gods that you've got to be very safe with and position correctly. Well, all season long, ShadowNightmare has been playing Kul Khan, another god that relies a lot on positioning.
Exactly. So being aware of your surroundings is something that ShadowNightmare has really practiced over the entirety of the 10-week fall split. So pulling out the Zeus in the last week really just fits his playstyle, I would say.
Yeah, fits him very, very nicely. Left Harpy's going to spawn here with the damage of Zeus and Athena threat available. We may see Myrmidons look to contest, though. They do have Dardez there with the no escape, but look at FrostiaK. He's also hanging in here. And Myrmidons know this because of that ward they've put down in mid.
This is a pretty standard ward that we see over here in mid. It puts it right in the middle of the lane so that any rotations coming left and right by way of mid lane will be spotted out immediately by the enemy team.
Just an awkward game, I feel, for Myrmidons, because I'm looking at the lineup and I'm like, as the game goes on, Dignitas becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Meanwhile, across the way, well, 2 or 3 of those gods have become stronger, but not to the same level of the Dignitas lineup as you go on.
Right.
Then there's the sustain factor as well, which I keep mentioning as we see more and more healers being picked up more often. We're going to have to see some weakening curses come out. You can already see LeMoGoW having to invest into one relatively early, which means he's not going to have beads potentially get away from the taunts, which means he's going to be very careful with when he uses the cloud. Taunt in mid.
Double taunt out of Frezzy. Monkey not going to connect. The whole time Variety just shelling out basics onto the tower. Tower just about to fall. Keep in mind, though, LeMoGoW stayed in lane, so there's a whole wave of minions onto the right side soul lane tower. It's not going to fall, but it's going to come very close to it.
And this is Dignitas making a call to give up tier 1 on the right-hand side for pressure on the mid lane instead. Try and focus on this.
LeMoGoW just going to head over and
but in
take out the
response,
tower.
they do get the tier 1 in mid lane, though, which opens up the mid lane side of the map. There's no teleport online for Variety either, so they're going to have to track LeMoGoW a little bit. Maybe might be okay with just letting LeMoGoW run rampant in that lane for the most part. Look for Gold Furies, look for picks and control elsewhere, and maybe just let LeMoGoW just continue farming that.
LeMoGoW's content to do that, it looks like. He'll go ahead and back right now. FrostiaK in the jungle, going to clear out his red buff for his mid laner. ShadowNightmare has been performing pretty well on the Zeus. 2-1-1 so far, level 16 already. He's got about a level over his opponent Tynz.
Yeah, so that's down to the Golfy build. It's also, not the Golfy, the mid-Harpy control has been the big impact for Team Dignitas this game. They've controlled pretty much every single camp just from the early outset. With that Zeus power pot start and the Hun Batz, the pressure they put on Myrmidons really put them on the back foot in this mid and jungle.
A little bit. Yeah, I see where you're coming from in that regard.
We've got the build online as well for LeFaeles. He's picked up all 3 kills from Myrmidons, so he's going to be a good front line for the team. Needs some extra defense, I want to say. He's got the Frostbound Hammer to stick to a target longer, which is where he'll be looking for the Zeus for the most part. But he needs a follow-up.
Of course, you always need that follow-up, especially with a character like Bellona, who has a fantastic way to start fights with that ultimate. What a great initiation. And then really the rest of the damage comes from the hammer and the bludgeon, and really the basic attacks come out from there, but you need the rest of the team to really provide help. Myrmidon's going to start the Gold Fury.
They're trying to burst it down, but FrostiaK being here,
catch it with his own eyes. But it's already down to 50%.
They can't risk it because take into account Zeus is there. Athena can dunk in as well with a Fear No Evil from Hun Batz and potentially force a fight that Myrmidons will not want to take in that situation. Variety is on the right-hand side though, so LeMoGoW, they could look to pressure this and force a 5v4 fight Myrmidons.
There's the tone onto FrezzOO. He's already down to about 50%. Ares hits up 3 with the ult and get 3 beads. 2 beads and an ult.
And look at that, Variety already started making the rotation in preparation for potentially having to support his teammates and sustain them back up. Problem is, LeMoGoW very wisely stayed in that lane. So they may trade a Gold Fury for a tier 2 tower here, which isn't all doom and gloom for Myrmidons.
Keep in mind, LeMoGoW also has a teleport, so he can make it here if that's going to be option. He chooses taunt onto Tynz. He'll dash away, but the follow-up from FrostiaK.
Yeah.
FrostiaK chasing the mage in the
That was
back
smart.
line. Ultimate is down, and Tynz will still make it out.
He'll live for now, but the
Not-
monkey jumps to it, picks up the kill. We will see FrostiaK fall down there, but the Gold Fury, well, it still stands. But LeMoGoW, he made the rotation and has already been forced to use the cloud.
He got caught up in the mid lane during his rotation. FrezzOO picks up FrostiaK, so FrostiaK, who went incredibly deep for the kill onto Tynz, does pay for it, but there's 4 members of Dignitas here to pay attention to the objective. And with Agni gone, a lot of Myrmidons long
Kill
range.
potential. Kill potential is gone. That's the key. Kill potential on the Gold Fury, kill potential on targets. With the sustain coming out from Variety, Dignitas win the engagement overall. FrostiaK, sacrificial lamb, wisely done.
Gold Fury falls by way of Team Dignitas. That's going to put Dignitas about 4,000 gold in the lead very early on. Well, it's 21 minutes, but 4,000 gold is definitely not where Myrmidons want to be at this point in the game. Also trailing by 2 kills and a whole slew of experience. So Dignitas looking to squelch any plans Myrmidons have of going to land.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's worked out well for them. FrezzOO, if you've noticed, consistently, time and time again, going immediately aggressive for the pick on to Tynz. But right side right now, LeMoGoW's caught out.
I mean, he's in so
He's gonna
much
let it
trouble.
go.
There's no ultimate available. He'll have to burn directly into the ult out of ShadowNightmare, and that'll give another kill to the mid lane Zeus. 3-1-1 right now.
You can see as well with Variety's build, he did end up going for the Lotus Crown, so I like the fact he went for some extra defenses, support of his team. Remember to try to answer back with a tier 1 tower in the left-hand side, which is a very good call for them. They're keeping themselves relatively in this game based off taking the towers down in response to the Gold Fury and other objectives that Dignitas are finding.
Bellona in the right lane, just defending the tower a little bit. Variety has made the rotation in his own lane as well. So LeMoGoW sitting down for 20 seconds or so, his lane being pushed out by his jungler.
The way the game is right now, though, Dignitas could just look for one huge team fight, potentially end this game. That's the stage they're at. With the sustain they've got from Raw, they could really hammer on the pressure, get a Fire Giant very quickly after it. I'd like to see them look for Fire Giant right about now. Look for some pressure around it, force the Myrmidons into a rough spot, and find the picks. FrezzOO, for me, has done a lot of work this game, finding Tynz every time. Getting the beads off Tynz has allowed the rest of the team to collapse on him and take away the biggest threat on Myrmidons' lineup.
Yeah, that's the problem with this Agni pick. Is I like the pick of Agni as we see LeMoGoW get collapsed on for a second time.
Cloud.
With Variety gets that one. I like the pick of Agni, and I won't go back on what I said. I absolutely love Agni in virtually any team composition, but the problem is I have to also like the characters around him, and the post-Agni picks just didn't do it for me. As you said, Agni is the only burst here on Myrmidons. Nobody else can really do that.
I agree.
And
I mean,
Agni's burst has an asterisk next to it.
I'm saying Agni we've not seen for a while, but I'm not discrediting Agni's play. Agni's the one god in this game that can make a big influence for the Myrmidons, I feel. But FrezzOO is the one making the biggest influence for Dignitas.
And there's a double taunt one more time, and again fighting the backlines onto Tynz. Damage out of FrostiaK over and over and over again. Tynz falls down. FrostiaK might pay for it. Dardez. Variety picks up another kill, so 2 down on the side of Myrmidons and none dead on the side of Team Dignitas.
And there's a sustain coming up from Variety too. No messing around for Dignitas now. You're going to have to see Jermain come back to defend. The respawns are getting longer. 30 seconds on Tynz here, 30 seconds on Dardez. And now the aggression comes out for the time. Meanwhile, left-hand side, Rens is free farming.
Fails, gets a good stun onto the opponent. ShadowNightmare very low. The focus has to be on him if Myrmidons want to stop this siege, and it is ShadowNightmare the first one to fall, this time by way of FrezzOO. FrostiaK being chased down, jumps the opposite way, jukes the entirety of the Myrmidons. That's going to be a fantastic escape for the moment. FrezzOO is here, but it's just not enough. Taunt, unfortunately, sends Variety's ultimate off the mark.
And it's all sustained damage. You can see it's like continuation poke from Myrmidons to have to find these picks. Meanwhile, while that's all going on, left-hand side, Ren's got 2 waves of experience, plus a tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, they did get the tier 2 to Dignitas, so not too upsetting right there.
7,500 gold, 10,000 experience, 4 kills. Team Dignitas leading in all relevant categories and making it look easy, honestly. Myrmidons have not been able to find a way back. They're down 7K. Where do they find it?
We mentioned completely different situation for Dignitas this time around compared to the start of the season. They walked into the start of the season against Myrmidons as their first game. And I think they underestimated Myrmidons. Myrmidons were out for blood at the start of the season. They had the opportunity, and Myrmidons looked fantastic in the first few games. But since then, slowly drifted down and down.
Yeah.
Roster issues, roster changes, switch-ups here, switch-ups there, players not available. It's been a rough, rocky road for them. I had hope that with the full roster here, they had a chance against Dignitas. But picks and bans, first of all, I feel like failed them a little bit in this game.
Yeah,
too.
like I said, I wanted a little bit more out of the damage component than just the Agni. There just needs to be more supporting cast for the character.
They have a supporting cast, but it's exactly that. It's supporting. It's not burst damage. It's not super aggro. It's all keep ourselves alive, keep the team busy on the front
line. And
line.
realistically, where would you put that? Would you change the solo lane or the jungle?
Jungle probably.
The jungle?
Jungle probably. I would have taken some wukong still fine for the solo lane. You could have put him in the support role as well, but Dardez I think is fine on Ares. It's an aggressive support, which is what you want.
Yep.
But maybe you're looking elsewhere. Maybe you're looking for someone in the jungle that can be a little bit more hands-on approach, you know? Thor, SirKet, I'm not sure which one was banned. I think SirKet was banned, but Thor was potentially available there. Fenrir, another one that, let's be honest, he could go straight to the back line looking for the picks onto Zeus. Would be a pretty good potential pickup for them there as well. Something more aggressive.
I like the idea of Fenrir. And that might have been a more optimal pick going the way of Myrmidons. We'll get back into our game here. 25 minutes on the clock. If you're just joining us, Team Dignitas has been running this game pretty much from minute 1. And just continuing it. Mid lane tower is going to fall pretty much just by FrostiaK by himself. Or by Jermain by himself, rather. FrostiaK shows up a little bit late to defend the tower.
Yeah, well, that was just a good opportunity for Myrmidons to realize that they got pressured out and the boys from Dignitas back. So took an opportunity, took the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Answer back again with a little bit of gold. Myrmidons hanging on by a thread to their hope of going to land right now, but it really is a thread, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course, Myrmidons. This is, they've got one shot.
This is the call. This is the call from Dig that I like. They should be going for this fire giant. They want to bait in Myrmidons into a fight.
Just push the lead.
They could just extend this lead now. They find a pick. It's pretty much in the bag for them. All they've got to do is have FrezzOO on zone duty. He finds taunts, forces beads. Next taunt comes up, and people are deleted again.
5 players on zone duty, apparently, from Team Dignitas. Not going to start the objective. Just going to walk around the objective. Everybody walking over the ward, so Myrmidons know that Team Dignitas is no longer on the fire giant.
Just pushing up mid lane. Golf Fury is available too, so you could potentially just see Dignitas not risk the fire giant, but take an easy Golf Fury for themselves. They're going to have Athena, Zeus, and potentially FrostiaK for zone duty here, and just leave Ra and Rens to do that. You know, they don't have to worry about all rotating if they don't need to.
Yeah, that's exactly what we'll see. Dignitas taking the opportunity to go ahead and grab this. A lot of times we'll see these teams sort of dance around fire giant, even when one has a lead, but Dignitas understand that time wasted. No such thing. So they go directly towards the objective and take that off the map.
Time is money, friend. That's the key. Time is money. And in the case of Dignitas, they found the money during that time with the Gold Fury going down.
Gold Fury is going to push the lead a little bit more in their favor, but more importantly, take out a comeback mechanic that Myrmidons can grab. At this point in the game, Gold Fury falls down pretty easily, so a single kill can really open the window for the enemy team to pick up a Gold Fury. By taking the Gold Fury off the map right here, that confirms the next time, should Myrmidons go ahead and nab a kill or two, that objective just isn't available for them to be able to take.
And I'm pretty sure as well that if Dignitas win this one, whoever wins these 2 games overall, whoever moves on to the 6th position for the LAN, they will face off against London Conspiracy in the first round for their chance. And then after that, they'll have to face the biggest team in Europe, as everyone is quoting them as right now, in Epsilon. If they want a shot at trying to get to Worlds with the first attempt, they do have the wildcard opportunity if they can at least get through to that matchup against Epsilon to begin with.
We'll have to take a look at that. I mean, so where do they have to go through to get to Epsilon?
It'll be London Conspiracy will be the matchup for whoever wins this game in the first round of the Super Regionals. If they win that game, they still have a shot against the wildcards, potentially. Not guaranteed,
That's third
however.
place. That's third place.
But they'll also have to face Epsilon. Big ask.
Big, tough opposition coming the way of whoever makes it into our 6th spot.
The way it is, if Dignitas win this game now, I'm actually very much looking forward to the LC Dignitas match because I think that's very close. A lot closer than we may have said at the start of the season when we saw these 2 teams. But good work from LC to get themselves 4th above Titan this season.
Yeah, Titan have been not really performing the way that they might have liked, I don't think. So because of that, they'll slip down to number 5. Number 6, of course, currently being contested. Myrmidons need to win 2. Dignitas, all they need to do is take this game into the win column to secure their trip to Atlanta.
Just hoping Myrmidons can try and make something happen, because I said earlier I didn't feel like they've ever pulled the trigger this game. They've not gone aggressive. They found that one pick on Zeus early, and that was about it. The rest have been response kills for the most part. They've never really pulled the trigger and gone aggressive. And I think they were been scared to lose the game, which is going to make them lose the game anyway. FrezzOO for me, though, biggest impact on the team so far. A good performance from him, 5-2 so far on the scoreline for him. Majority of the kills, not necessarily you want them all on him, unfortunately. Would have been great to get some of those onto Tynz, but Tynz been forced out for the most part.
Dancing around the fire giant at the moment. Dignitas with map control for the most part. Able to push Myrmidons into their own jungle and really make the positioning that Dignitas themselves want.
Yeah, Rudder to Hou Yi finished as well there for variety. He's done a good job of farming. Look at his build now. He's got great penetration online with the Obsidian Shard, Warlock, Slash, fully stacks. He's got great damage too. Big two-man taunt, no escape coming out as well.
We've got the double initiation coming out, the blink in and the taunt forward. Rens picks up the first kill. ShadowNightmare picks up the second. A lot of damage coming out onto Dignitas, but it's just not efficient enough. Triple stun from the mid laner. Tynz separates himself successfully. LeMoGoW grabs 1 for his team, but right now it's a 1 for 3, and Dignitas looking for more. They'll turn around and go to the objective.
That's fine. What they did there was they deleted the front line. The back line couldn't. Sorry, the back line of Myrmidons could not make an impact in that engagement at all. They couldn't find any kills. LeMoGoW did great work to pick up Zeus, though. I've got to give him credit for that one. But the rest, Dignitas rallied around the Zeus afterwards and made sure he paid with his life. Meanwhile, FrezzOO did great zoning work to keep the damage dealers of Myrmidons at bay.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough. Fire Giant goes the way of Team Dignitas, so leading by 10,000 gold plus a Fire Giant around their waists. Team Dignitas definitely in a position to really seal this one home. They've got a couple of towers and phoenixes that stand in their way. Most likely we'll see this push in the mid lane. That's exactly where we'll go. FrezzOO leading the charge, taking the tower shots for the Hunter, and Rens will barrel down, show attention to the tower.
Was a little bit of a nervous performance from Dignitas so far. This though, they've had more opportunities to pull triggers a little bit quicker than they have done, but they've waited for the exact perfect opportunity before they've done it.
And that's exactly what we saw. We saw 4 members of Dignitas get with Fire Giant just get chased off a tower by 2 members of Myrmidons.
Don't want to make mistakes here. I mean, it's an important game. You win one of these 2. If you can do it in the first one, you know the next game's going to be nice and relaxing. That's the big thing there. Nice and relaxing.
Relaxing, maybe. Well, we'll have to see. This first one, though, not so much for Myrmidons. They're anything but relaxed as they trail by 10,000 and are seeing their trip to land be taken away from them.
They're not out of it, but trying to defend Phoenixes against a Ra and a Zeus is going to be a rough problem, because Ra's going to heal them all back up. Zeus, well, he's got that great poke range with the shield now. He can use the chain line underneath the Phoenixes and keep you right on the backside, which means your front line has to commit hard and from a very deep position, so it can be quite expected.
And that's the key to hang on to right there, is how expected. You don't need to be surprised. There is no surprise factor there. All the cards are on the table right now, and the players just have to react to what's being given to them. There's no surprises out of the jungle, right? So
yeah. And that's the big key. They don't have like a Thor to jump on them. They don't have Fenrir to come from a back line with a blink and then unchain straight afterwards. They've got a Bellona, which will have to, if any, just jump in with the Eagles Rally there and look for it. But to get the Eagles Rally on the right targets, what I'd like to see the Dignitas boys do here is have ShadowNightmare on the back of the whole team. He doesn't have to be there poking down the Phoenix. He should be sat right at the back and force the team to initiate on the other 4 members. And then Zeus is sat at the back going, hey, I've been waiting for you to join this fight. You would never get to me anyway from how deep you were coming in from. I can now burst you down, and my rest of my team will survive anyway.
That's definitely the game plan.
So far, so good for Dignitas. I mean, they should, realistically looking at this game now, this should be game. I don't see a way back. And as you can see, guys, we've got an extended pause at the moment. We're just working through it as the teams get themselves ready to try. Well, Dignitas getting ready to close this one out. Remember, trying to hold this one.
Yeah, and again, this is week number 10 here. These teams are really focusing hard. The winner of this game or match, depending on how it goes, will be the ones heading to LAN. So we're going to head to a brief break, and we'll come back to the conclusion of Game 1, Dignitas versus Myrmidons. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, folks. Myrmidons versus Dignitas Game 1, half hour on the clock. Dignitas leading by substantial amount. 13-7 read the kills, and the gold telling the same story. 10K up, 11K up for gold and experience respectively, and right now it's all about Team Dignitas making their next push.
And the experience you can see is making a big impact. There's only one member of Dignitas that isn't level 20 right now. Meanwhile, across the way, Myrmidons, they only have 2 members at level 20. So experience very important right now as well. Myrmidons need to make a stand somewhere, and they need to make it relatively soon. I'm expecting we're going to see Dignitas clean up their jungle, look to take down the last 2 towers, and then Myrmidons, well, they've got 3 Phoenixes. If they lose one, I'm pretty sure that'll be the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just up to Dignitas and making mistakes. Myrmidons, there are potential ways, right? You find a pick, you find a tower, you find an objective here or there. But realistically speaking, Myrmidons come back into this off of mistake or an overextension by Team Dignitas.
And the big thing here is what we see from Zeus. The deletion target they should be looking for is eliminate Zeus immediately. LeMoGoW fails, jump in, delete Zeus. Problem is that I love what we saw from ShadowNightmare here going for the Aegis. So that if they try that, he can say, no, I'm not going to be deleted immediately, which means we should see a casualty of war come out of one of those 2 trying to dive in very quickly.
Dignitas just taking everything away from Myrmidons here. Jungle camps, towers, everything being stripped off the board by Team Dignitas.
Just slow and methodical because they, like we said, this is an important game for them. They get a trip to the United States to come and play in the Super Regionals. You don't want to make a mistake in this sort of situation where you've up so far and see it all be taken away from you.
Left tower, tier 2. Mid tower, tier 2. Even a jungle camp taken away. Dignitas now just really pushing their lead, and they're even going to go for the Gold Fury right now.
It's definitely not going to be the quickest win of the season for Dignitas, I'll tell you that much. But they should be able to, not necessarily squeak this one out, but it's looking confident from them for the time being. They're just going to wait for Myrmidons to put themselves in an awkward position. Just watch out for FrezzOO, because normally FrezzOO will go in for a 2-man taunt. He's relatively looking for 3, and it's on targets that are priority as well that he'll be looking for.
Keep an eye on FrezzOO. FrezzOO and Dardez are really where these fights start. Either you get the blink in from Dardez or the dash taunt out of FrezzOO. FrezzOO unable to connect that time around. No blink on the Athena, so you won't hear that blink anytime soon from the side of Team Dignitas.
Good bait
but
from Jermain,
Myrmidons can start things off with a strong blink out of Ares.
I like what Jermain did then. He put himself in an awkward spot trying to force the taunt out of FrezzOO. That's what he should be looking to do, and rolled away nicely. But with the minions coming in now, there's the taunt that's going to land, and immediately the ultimate comes out from Jermain.
Where's the follow-up from Myrmidons? You're going to provide some sort of damage, and they push Dignitas off just a little bit.
Oh, wow. So they got 2 ultimates for free there, did Dignitas. They've not used anything at all, and they got LeMoGoW's ultimate, and they also got Jermain, and now LeMoGoW's in trouble because he doesn't have beads.
That was an early ultimate out of LeMoGoW, but here comes Ares. He'll grab FrezzOO, no beads on the support. Damage on a FrezzOO is not enough to take him down. Meanwhile, LeMoGoW has already fallen to the Hun Batz. FrostiaK comes up on top of this fight. All Myrmidons have to see die is one of their members to slink away, and the left Phoenix goes the way of Dignitas.
So Jermain went to the sky preemptively because of the taunt coming out. When he went up in the sky, LeMoGoW committed further forward to try and support. At the same time, we also saw the no escape coming out from Dardez. LeMoGoW, though, caught a little bit too far forward. Couldn't buy beads this game because he went teleport and had to go for weakening curse. So they knew Dignitas at the moment he landed, they could pick him up with a taunt.
But why did we see that ult so early?
Not sure.
He was at 90% HP. Not really being threatened.
A little bit of worry. I mean, if he gets full CC'd, he can't get to the cloud in the first place. Guess he was worried about the CC chain that could come out from Fear No Evil. On top of that, he's also got the taunt to deal with. I can see why potentially he went for that. There's also Ricochet that can stun too if he's got the Mark of the Crow on him. But ulted early, and in the end, he fell down.
Not worth. Myrmidons now trailing by a large amount. Still, even more so than before. Previously 10,000, now approaching that 15,000 mark. Just a couple of K short of it. And Dignitas going to start the Fire Giant one more time.
And they've done, like I said this before, methodical is the word that Dignitas have used this game. They've not overcommitted. They could have potentially ended a couple of times, I guess, or looked for the win. But instead, they took the towers, farmed up the jungle, took the Gold Fury, took a Phoenix after a fight, then went back, got the second Fire Giant, and now they can look for the last 2 Phoenixes and potentially the game.
And that's what we're going to see. Team Dignitas already took the left Phoenix, now heading to the right side. Coming down the lane. All members of Team Dignitas, they're here to squelch the dreams of Myrmidons. Myrmidons, they've come a long way out of the Challenger Cup, finding themselves into the Pro League this split. almost making their way to land. If they win this one, they can still make it, but Dignitas here to say absolutely not. Frenzy's going to start things off with a taunt onto the support just to push Ares away a little bit.
Look at the positioning from ShadowNightmare. Just watch the Zeus on the backside here, because the rest of the team commits forward, and just like I wanted, he hovers at the back. See that? He knows that the commitment range for Myrmidons is very, very limited, and now he can go aggressive.
FrezzOO gets 3 people with the stun, and that's the initiation that Myrmidons needs. Shell popped on the side of Dignitas, so a lot of the initial damage going to be withstood. Damage onto Rens, knock up after 3 hits at a Ram from the air. Rens is still fine.
Good snipe.
Variety sends the snipe and takes out FrezzOO. ShadowNightmare sends his ult and takes down Dardez. The whole while Rens focusing on the Phoenix. He's going to be hit by it as Jermain walks in the way, so the Phoenix chases him out, but FrostiaK chases Tynz out the hard way into the base. Jermain's going to sit for 60. The whole team is down.
Quadra for Frosty?
LeMoGoW is down as well. FrostiaK gets the Quadra. The Titan's going to fall. Myrmidons not going to land. We're seeing Team Dignitas, number 6.
Was a triple kill for Frosty. I thought it was a quadra as well, but triple kill going over to FrostiaK at the end there. His work on the backside was fantastic. Congratulations to Dignitas. They do make it through to the Super Regionals. Did take them to the last game of the season to do it, though.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter when.
Doesn't matter.
It just matters that it happens. Myrmidons and Team Justice will find themselves in relegation many, many weeks from now. And for now, it's all said and done. Europe, we know who's going. Team Dignitas, Titan, London Conspiracy, Paradigm, Fnatic, and Epsilon will be the teams coming here to hi-rez Studios to face off in the Super Regionals.
And a great performance from Dignitas today. Like I said multiple times, methodical was the word of the day. Didn't make many mistakes. They executed their game plan perfectly. Myrmidons feel like they were up against it from picks and bans. When I looked at the opposition, rough.
Variety started off that last fight with a huge ultimate kill, and that, in part, is why we're going to dub him Player of the Game. Showing up on that Ra and not dying a single time. 4-0-6 for the solo laner out of Variety. Just fantastic, not only this game, but a fantastic story of the season for this player.
He's got stronger as the time's gone on as well, and now with the healing meta coming back a little bit, he's been able to rotate back to an old god pull. We saw him on Coast before as well, which has allowed the mages back into the solo lane a little bit more with the honk changes and such. But Variety for me this game, I'm not really interested in his kills and his assists. It was more to do with the supportive play of the rotations that were very important from the outset that set Dignitas up for a good win.
And like I said, it's really about the story of how Variety has just improved. Early on, he wasn't really the fantastic standout player for his team, and as time has gone on, now he's getting Player of the Games and really impacting these fights. Let's take a look at the top performers by way of Alpha Draft, and even there, we see Variety in the number 4 spot, so still continuously turning up.
FrostiaK had a very good performance on the Hun Batz as well. He was the only one that went really deep on the team. Rest of the team had to hold position correctly and support each other nicely. Meanwhile, FrostiaK was the frontline assassin, which is what you want him to be, or necessarily the backline assassin, as he sat on the backside for most of the engagements, being a relative terror as the rest of his team were bunched up, working as a team.
It's all about